Now I would like to call Ashish for welcoming our respected guest.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Riva Engineering College, we are honored to have our esteemed guest, Mr. Alok Gupta, along with participants and speakers joining us today for this enlightening
across the country. Sir began his career in the textile manufacturing sector before transitioning into the IT as a technical database administrator. Currently, he serves as the founder of 𝐀𝐥𝐵 Interiors and Property Management. Over to you, Priyanshu.
Thank you, Sakshi. Sir, now we can start the session, sir.
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. Thank you for setting up this awesome digital transformation world. We never had this opportunity, but that's okay. So if you can just share the screen and bring up the presentation, I can just quickly walk through that. And by the time it is happening, to the audience over here, I'm not sure whether you know what captive means because everyone interpreted it in different way. So it is also popularly known as a GIC or GCC in India. Okay, so I will be talking about GIC and GCC in India, and my entire career, almost entire career, was around setting up these big companies and their offices, of these parent companies in India. So that's the topic of today's discussion and information. Yes, please. Next slide, please. Next one, please. Okay, so as you see the names over here, what comes to your mind first? I'm sure definitely almost all these names you would have seen here and there, right? So when you look at these names, these are all Fortune 500 companies, which means almost each and every company has a more than $100 billion kind of revenue year after year, and they are old companies. They are not like a unicorn which is coming up and going down tomorrow. They are here from last 25, 50, 100 years, okay? So the agenda, as you see in this slide is, I will be setting the context. Then I will be talking about growth of GCCs, and then what exactly India as the advantage we have at the moment, okay, and definitely in near future. Then what are the drivers for these GCC growth, and then what is the benefit of these GCCs, and then what is the pan-India impact it's currently having and it is gonna be having in future. Yeah. Next slide, please. Okay, so before I start discussing on this slide, because this is a little more in detail, few quick questions to the organizer. Do you want to take up the question in between, or do you want to take everything at the end?
Sir, as you wish, sir.
So Alok, generally we keep it up to the choice of the speaker. So I feel it will be okay. If you want to be very, very interactive, you can ask for the questions many times. The speaker has put the questions and the people have put the answers or the questions answers here itself in the technical mode. Or if you want to be comfortable, you can keep all these things in the end. In any case, as this is a practice that all the questions are kept at the last, and they are moderator is there who puts all the questions to you.
Okay, so I generally feel it is always interactive. If somebody really have a question, let's say somebody who doesn't understand what is captive means or GIC means, then they should ask that question right now, which will help them to understand the entire presentation. So I will take a pause for another 10 seconds if somebody want to ask a question.
Yes, sir. I want to say that. Sir, what is mean by captives? I don't know.
Okay. So good question. The captive is nothing but arm of a company, a parent company. So say, for example, everybody knows what Walmart is. Walmart is more than $450 billion company in US, very old company, #1 company in so many reasons, right? Now, if they have some requirements which can be fulfilled through India, then what will they gonna do? They're gonna set up their office in India, right? So whether it is a procurement office, which is responsible for procuring item across the world and sending them to US, or whether it is a BPO office, which is handling all the queries around the world wherever they have their stores, or their IT needs, that their entire IT development, testing, and stuff like that is happening from India. So that's what captive means, which means you have a parent company somewhere in the world, which is more than $100 billion company, and they are utilizing Indian skill, especially in IT and BPO, by setting up their offices in India. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. So as you see, the GCC, we generally call it as a Global Capability Center, Competency Center, okay? And what happened is that in case of outsourcing, the era started from when the computerization started. So initially, they all went into model of subcontracting, the IT work to the services companies. So that's how the Infosys, TCS, Wipro, and then later on IBM, Deloitte, Cognizant, these kind of companies are called services companies, because these companies used to provide. What happened is that gave the birth of the idea to start having your own company or a child company based out of India. So that's about the GCC context. Next slide, please. So if you see a typical timeline way, if you just wanted to understand how does it look like in terms of timeline, you can think of in 1985, I think most of you can say is the first GCC in India. Then Exxon, Dalmia, HSBC, and GE, they realized early in the game that they can leverage on Indian IT workforce as well as the Indian workforce to have their offices in India. Now, that's the GE effect, because GE became one of the biggest captive who opened the offices across India, especially in the metro cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Gurgaon. Okay. Now, what happened is around 2002, there were around 66 captives got opened. And then you can see the train. By 2010, when this Lehman Brothers thing happened, then we had around 750 captives in India. Around 2023, just after the COVID, we had around 1,500. And by 2025, we are crossing around 2,000 captives. So when I say 2,000 captives or 2,000 GCC, which means you can imagine in a crude way, 2,000 top companies of the world have their offices in India. You can think in that way. Now, the key question comes here is, why not outsource? And what are the benefits? Okay. And what are the sizes of these captives? So let's say the captive which I worked for, Tesco, we reached around 10,000 people working in India. When I worked with other captives, there is a captive called United Health, which has around 35,000 people in India. Okay. Not even some of the Indian companies have this kind of workforce, which is actually hired by these companies in India. Okay. If you see the data above, software export grew from 116 billion USD in 2017 to almost 150 billion in 2021. So it's a COVID positive effect where the world went online, and they immediately understood that, this is where they need to leverage on India for sustaining their business, or, beating others in competition, or reducing cost, or saving data privacy and issues and stuff like that. So now coming to average size per GCC, you can imagine that each and every GCC average is around 1,000 employee in India. Okay. And also I have written some of the sizes here. If you see the example of large GCCs in India, JP Morgan is kind of largest. They have around 550,000 people in India. United Health, as I said, around 35,000. Care Loan is around 18,000. Wells Fargo is around 12,500, something like that. Yeah, next slide, please. Now, this is an interesting one. It looks complicated, but I think if you can just spend few, good quality seconds over here to understand, you will be amazed to see this slide. So as you see on the US, we have a red. On the China, we have yellow. And on the India, we have green circle, right? And then you see somewhere we have the orange circle and the yellow circle. And then again, some of the places we have a big green circle. For example, Brazil, Argentina, okay, Philippines, Vietnam. What does this significant? Also, if you see in Europe, we have a Belarus, which is green, right? So now you see the indicator, the low cost tenant and high cost tenant, okay? So the problem, which is now you can easily understand what exactly happening. The workforce in US is extremely costly. Why? Because either you hire somebody in US who has a green card or citizen of a US, definitely you have to follow the minimum wage or whatever you have to do for them, or you bring people from India on a H-1B visa or different types of visa and then get the work done while they are in US. So again, you land up at a very high cost. Now, since it is always a competitive market, these big companies is always a data driven and they keep checking what are the ways we can improve quality, we can reduce lead time, we can get the job done. And the main important thing is the cutting edge technology. Where is the workforce available? So they all rush to India. So we have, that's why it is green, that plus 15% and around 3 million workforce we have. And with this rate, we are growing to satisfy the need of IT talent to these captives across the world. Okay. Now, if we see the green in Philippines, Vietnam, and some other places, that is also green because of, not because of the IT, it is because of the BPO sector. Say, for example, Philippines is much cheaper to get a quality resource who can speak to the customer as a first line of, first point of contact, do some kind of a data punching into the system, what issue came around, and then, so typical BPO activity, these countries are extremely good as well as cheaper than us. So we are not the best in each sense. Definitely in terms of customer service, understanding the customer, the way we need to respond to them, the kind of voice or tone we need to use, some of these countries are much better than us. But yes, why we have a big circle is because of the IT talent. Definitely in BPO also we are doing pretty well, but these specific green which you see across the world, they are also emerging as a country who can supply the human resource, and things can be outsourced or insourced via their child companies into these locations. So definitely Brazil is pretty close to us. But again, as on today, no one can beat us, as you see the kind of green circle we have right now. Next slide, please. Or if anyone has a question, I can take a 10-second pause. Okay. So next, please. Sorry, Ashish, you have a question?
Yes, sir. Sir, what's in your opinion, as you said that tenants in India are in low budget, comes in low budget. So what do you think? Is it a benefit to India or a bane to India?
Okay, good question. See, when I say low budget, there is no yardstick. For example, if for the same amount of work, let's say you are a DBA, database administrator, and let's say I hire you in US, okay? You might cost me some $250,000, kind of salary per year, and then whatever is the tax deduction and all. But with the same amount and with the same quality, I can hire that DBA in India almost 3 or 4 times or 5 times cheaper. So that's what I mean by the low cost.
Sir, is it the positively affecting India, or the low cost labor is it is not affecting the economy in a degrade manner?
Okay, so if I understand your question, it is good for India. Definitely, yeah, it is good for India. It's not a, don't compare this as a low cost. Just compare this as a, okay, think you're a businessman. You're getting some work done by giving somebody $100, and the same amount of work is done by somebody in $10. What will you do?
Well, we get it done within $10.
There you go. And the $10 which they are offering here is not that the kind of a labor rate we have here. The $10 is still a huge. For example, a DBA salary in India equivalent to US could be around, let's say, 60 lakhs, 70 lakhs, 80 lakhs per month, per year.
Right, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Any other question? All right. We'll move to the next slide. Okay, this is very interesting in terms of our country. And if you think globally, then you should be more happy to see this. So the GCC distribution, you can see on India map, predominantly South is completely dominating it because the IT started almost here. So you have Bangalore on number 1, which is like 30%. And the closer one is the Hyderabad and NCR region. So as you see, 50% of the total GCC talent reside in Bangalore and NCR. So the reason is very simple. These 2 states, they recognize the need of the talent. And whenever a captive being set up here, they need resources in multiple technologies, where it is a legacy technologies, for example, a mainframe, or it could be a middleware, middle-age technologies, for example, .NET, Java, Oracle, SQL, or it could be a cutting-edge technology, which is your Python, data science, machine learning, AI, whatever. The point is that the talent pool is available in these 2 regions, and it is growing rapidly. So when you set up an office in these kind of places, one thing your HR or recruitment ensures that they will be able to hire people considering all these vast range of technologies, And secondly, definitely, one city has to lead, and then the Bangalore is leading. Coming to other part of the northern region, apart from NCR region, you can include Gurgaon also in that. We do not have a much presence over there. The reason is very simple, that political parties over there, they are still not getting the idea to distribute the information technology across India. They have a very good reason, like Jaipur, they have Bhopal, Indore. These are all almost in the central part of the India, or even towards Gujarat, or even towards Bihar and Odisha. But for some reason, I think it is just a lack of political will, which is driving this entirely based out of South. So that's why you don't see any dots on the northern part of India. So this is how this is distributed across tier 1 cities. Next slide, please. So if you see one of the very famous, the technology is enormous. The amount of FOMO, the amount of information around us is so vast that it is very easy to get confused. And it is impossible to still live in those, mentality, aham brahmasmi, I know everything. Definitely you cannot be, you cannot be a jack of all trade, or you cannot be master of all trades. The time has come where you mind your own business, and then whatever doesn't is not your core competency, try to subcontract or try to give it to expert and believe in them. So that's where we picked it up. And then in this lies the profound idea that a firm should consider not performing activities that are outside of its core competency. So for example, Walmart is a retailer. What do you think Walmart should be doing? Why do you go to Walmart? Because you get so much of variety and so fantastic deals, and the product with that kind of a budget or a quality. And you want the Walmart to focus on that. Now, if the Walmart is running and there is an IT behind this, they just don't want to spend any time, a quality time, dealing and hiring those staff and doing it themselves. So this is what all mean by that. And that is why the birth of Captive started. That they said, okay, if India is doing very well, let's do one thing, open the office in India. Let's say, initially they said, okay, let's bring 10,000 people to US. Now in US, some election is happening and some president put a ban on it saying that, oh, no, we will not be getting all these people to US, not allowed, whatever. We will not grant the visa, and this is becoming a tedious task to get people over there. So what a businessman will do, they'll say, okay, we will cross the boundary, we'll open office in India, we'll get the work done from there. We don't care what government does in US, So similarly, if you see China in manufacturing, nobody bothers these days. If you go to any market, every market area people, especially all these businessmen, they have the China visa, they go there, they pick up the product, they sign the agreement there, they book the product comes to India, they start selling it to us, and across the world. So that's how the drivers of the GCC growth is. If you see export incentive plus connectivity, and then offshore outsourcing, which is basically transitioning to India country specific advantage to GCC. So this is what is a driver behind the GCC growth in India. Next slide, please. So what is the benefit? Okay. Better access to talent, low attrition, GCC are preferred employers. Why? Because when you work for a services company, let's say your client is ABN AMRO Bank, for example, you are doing some coding stuff or something for that client. Now that account is closed, by the time you learn what ABN AMRO does, what is the history of ABN AMRO, what are the values, what are the culture, everything is gone in that second, and your manager will put you onto another project, let's say IKEA in Sweden. Now you learn about IKEA, Swedish culture, the product, so the attrition is very, very high, and people don't feel the belongings. They belongs there, right? So what happens is when you work for a captive, I'm working for a Walmart. You feel like I'm part of Walmart. It is not just a project for me. Your HR policies in India, in Walmart captive, is driven by the parent company in US. For example, if that company says that, in the aisle you should have a 4 feet of gap and the workstation should not be very close, and everyone who is working in IT, because we are seeing their healths are not improving because they keep sitting on the desk all the time, please give them a big monitor. Next year, they will come and say, there is another change. We will give you a table which can move up and down so that we want to take care of your health. So employee feels pretty comfortable that company. Yeah, so now coming to very interesting part, the slide may look a little complicated. It is a very easy slide. So one thing would be coming to a lot of people's mind when they come and talk to me saying that, Alok, how this thing happens, ultimately, how it works, how it starts, how it happens. So very simple, business drivers, okay? If you are a US company, $100 billion company, or UK company, or let's say even Japanese company, you will keep coming with some kind of a business gaps, business drivers, business problems, okay? That business will drive and tell you what exactly they need, correct? And then that if most of the needs are towards these days, towards IT, because everything becoming IT dependent, right? So what happens is that then there is a mandate there is a central repository where these ideas are coming, or innovative ideas are coming, or the problem statements or gaps are coming and all. So that company decides in those developed countries, saying that, okay, I think it's a good idea. Others are also doing. Let us also have office in Bangalore. Okay, so somebody will say, how do you start this? Okay, then they will hire somebody who is a GCC specialist in India, who worked for GCC, who knows, who travels, extensively, who goes to the West, understand the company culture, the company business, the company need, discuss with the stakeholders over there, discuss with the leadership over there, propose the idea, bring it to India, and then when they say go ahead, then he starts executing it in India. So when you see the establishment framework, this is what typically happens. It's pretty, in a crude way, you can just say that you gave an idea that I want to do this business, and this is the commercial space I need to start my business. This is the interior I need. This is the rules and regulation according to the India, and this is the workforce I need. That's what it is. When you have everything in place, and then a strategy in place, that if you start your own captives, the people who are supporting to you, they know their account is going to go one day, right? So how will they behave with you? They are 15, 20 years old vendor for you. And for some of the vendors, you are just bread and butter for them. So they will also become anxious that what will happen to our company. Let's say I set up a company in Bangalore, and then we were about to take 3,000 people from a company based in Hyderabad. For them, it was a bread and butter, because all those 3,000, out of the 3,000 people, around 300, 400 people were there in that company. And my job is to take my account back. So it can really go nasty. People will feel that, we just took their 300 employees to us. But the approach is different. Then it's called retagging or rebadging. Okay. So we say, okay, no worries. We will take your employee. They are not going to be a jobless. We are just rebadging to our company. So don't worry. We will make the payment to you since you were with us for a long time, partner. So these are all strategic part of when you develop a GCC, how to ramp up the team, get the transition, and start working. So I don't want to take a name, but one of the GCC, we hired 8,000 techies in India in 2 years. So you can imagine the kind of people get hired in these kind of GCCs. Yeah. Next slide, please. Okay. Pan-India impact. Interesting slide. If you see emerging cities, okay. These are the emerging cities which are now on radar. So, Priyanshu, you asked this question, right? Or somebody asked this question about a cost. Ashish, you asked, I think. So if the $100 job in US, I'm getting it done from a Bangalore techie for $10, correct? Okay. Then I go to Riva and I see even the $5 is a good money in Riva, right? $5 an hour is like, some $100, let's say, per day. It's a decent, fair money, right? So what will I do? I'll definitely go to Riva, right?
Yes, sir.
Because this is business, right? You have to find the same quality and keep cutting the cost, right? So now the companies are facing some problem in terms of the cost in Bangalore, Hyderabad, or any other metro city. Is not because of the techie problem, it's because of the city problem, okay? Because everything is high. The cost of living index, the cost is high. So the demand shift is happening towards tier 2 cities, okay? So if you can see the Jaipur, Ahmedabad, Vadodara, Thiruvananthapuram, Coimbatore, Kochi, Chandigarh, and other cities. These cities are also, we call it tier 2 cities, okay? And GCCs started setting up their centers in these cities. The only challenge which I personally faced whenever I went for recruiting in these kind of B cities is that you always compare with the standard of communication, the standard of coding, the standard of attitude with the metro. And then if you don't get it, then you come back and say, please don't open the, let's say in Chandigarh, it's too Punjabi culture. It's not going to work out, or it is too local. They are not getting it. They just want to work 6 hours a day. They are more chill people. They are not serious. I'm just taking an example. Chandigarh is not like that, but I'm just saying that you always compare with the Bangalore, okay, or Hyderabad. So that's the only challenge you face at times. But having said that, that challenge we already faced when we transitioned work from US to India, right? So if there is a US manager, okay, a US citizen, he's dealing with another US guy, he's more comfortable instead of dealing with somebody sitting in India who is an Indian guy. But he did so because of so many advantages which we discussed about it. The same kind of a resistance we face when we go to tier 2 cities. But the good news is you have to go because you have to keep cutting the costs. You have to keep finding the new avenues, new ways. Also, people at these places, I mean, people are same everywhere, right? Whether you are in Rewa, Ahmedabad, Jaipur, or Bangalore, doesn't matter. You are all same. So when this will pick up the demand, the GCCs will start getting opened in these kind of cities. So right now we don't have a Bhopal and Indore, for example, here, but maybe we will get some captive setup over there. If that captive works out very well, then definitely it will be a success story and other companies will start looking for a Bhopal and Indore region, right? So what will happen is if you have something in Bhopal, Indore, Jabalpur, or this kind of a region, at least people living nearby in Rewa, Satna, Gwalior, whatever, they prefer to join those companies over there rather than coming down all the way to Hyderabad and Bangalore, correct? So that's what is happening. Next slide, please. Yeah, so that's about me. I worked 23 years in IT and I lived in many countries because of profile. And it's a fascinating. India is really remarkably doing very well. I see the tremendous growth in this particular sector. One thing which I liked about Captive is, I mean, there's nothing wrong about the other companies, but when I came to know in 2003, this is something which I should be joining in. I never joined any other services company or IT company, even I had offer, right? So whether it is Infosys, Wipro, TCS and all, I never joined them. Why? Because I see the way Captive deals with you, the kind of HR policies they bring to you, the kind of transparency they have, the kind of take care they do because their HR is driven of their mother country, right? That's totally different from an Indian company. So that's one thing. And second is definitely it was very fascinating. A lot of travel across the world, understand their business requirement first rather than using your IT brain, then come back and translate this into the IT team and then, convince them, start ramping up teams, hiring a lot of people, so that was my journey. And last 5 years, I left IT. I wanted to do always something. I have my own startup, which is not a non-IT company. It's into interiors and property management. I'm based out of Bangalore. So thank you very much for listening patiently. And definitely I can take all the questions now.
Vaishnavi, before you start taking the questions from all the other, Alok, a very, very interesting talk, and I'm sure all these people will be very keen with the kind of numbers you are putting. Let me introduce myself. I'm Air Commodore Rajiv Mittal, a 1987 batch. I just retired from Indian Air Force. I was handling the Digital India and Startup India mission for the Government of India for the Armed Forces. I have opened a startup over here and we aim to start a GCC in Bhopal in next 2 years. We are building for that. We have already taken the land for that in the IT park of Bhopal. Aim is to help students of Engineering College Rewa. One of the aim is to help the students of Engineering College of Rewa, and we want to start with 2,000 seated center. Of course, it will be of interest to other students also. What I will like to know from you, 4-5 bigger things, and then I'll get in touch with you separately also, which we need to do to take our steps ahead.
Okay, sir. Sorry, I missed the last line. What was the question?
The question is, what will be the 5 most important steps we should start taking now to open a GCC center at Bhopal?
Okay. So I can answer in multiple ways. Number one, and the best way is, as I said, what Larry Ellison said, please outsource this to somebody who has done it. So for example, there are GCC consultant. One of them, I know he's an ITM guy. His name is Dr. Anilesh Seth. I can send you his LinkedIn profile. He was my boss as well. And these kind of consultant who gone through this journey and set it up so many captives, even closed some of the captives. Let's say it didn't work out, so you have to wind it up, right? So you have to get this consultant. These consultants know each and everything. They will guide you on each and every aspect. And second is you can reach out to NASSCOM with your query, and NASSCOM will definitely send you some of the consultant details, or I can send personally. Third thing is, if you think independently, very simple, 3 things you need. Number one, you need the land, office, whatever you call it, commercial building and stuff like that. So the second most important thing is the law. Which company is coming from which country and what exactly rules and regulations there. For example, if it is a US healthcare, there are a different set of rules which you need to, or legal team has to figure it out in the Indian context, correct? If it is a banking somewhere, or if it is a retail somewhere, then it's a different rules for India. So somebody has to do a legal verification of, if they open the captive here, what are the things they need to take care in terms of that parent company in US. I'll give you an example. Anthem is the company which is like $1.4 billion. When we opened that captive in Bangalore, तो मेरा सवाल सबसे पहले ये था कि सर इसका नाम Anthem क्यों नहीं है, ठीक है? Then when I visited there, they said, no, we cannot use, because of our company rules in US, we cannot use Anthem name anywhere outside of India. We cannot open our laptop anywhere outside of our India. Even if I'm traveling from here to US, I have some work at Heathrow Airport. If I open my laptop, the alert will go that, login happened from UK. So that kind of a sensitivity, which generally you see in movies, right? So these companies do. So legal framework, legal understanding, checking everything as per the parent company, what are the processes you need to do in India. The third thing is hiring the talent, because all said and done, these two are operational tasks. Why somebody is building office in Bhopal? Because at the end of the day, he wants to see the delivery is happening from there or not. So hiring the right talent, let's say they want you to develop some kind of, they are running a transformation project from .NET to Java, for example. So now the Java team and some of the .NET heroes, are you able to hire them? Have they understood what needs to be done? Have they done it? Is it now live and working? Are they supporting it? So this is the end result which they look for. So recruitment, legal, and your property. These are the 3 main things people need to think about. But again, as I said, sir, the world has become expert driven. You can just hire one consultant, whatever is the fee, doesn't matter, but that guy will drive everything.
Fine. I'll get in touch with you. Suddenly we'll hire one consultant for that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, any other question?
Sir, I have a question, sir. Sir, as we all know that you pass out from mechanical branch. So in Middle India, parents more forced toward the government job. So what inspire you to go toward this sector, and how you see the future of this startup and IT sector, sir?
Okay, you mean what inspired me to go from mechanical to IT?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the answer is very simple. It's a survival, man. You got to survive. You got to survive. अगर आपके पीछे वो सांड पड़ जाएगा तो आपको दौड़ना आ जाएगा. वैसे आप बोलोगे नहीं, मैं दौड़ नहीं पाता हूँ, मैं सुबह उठ नहीं पाता हूँ, मैं ये नहीं कर पाता हूँ. लेकिन अगर आपके पीछे कोई कुत्ता या सांड पड़ गया तो आप भागोगे ना. So it's just a survival, nothing else. just a funny example. Okay, so I did mechanical, what couple of years in manufacturing, and then the IT started gaining ground, and I liked this. It was very fascinating. I used to write PL SQL queries and stuff like that. So I felt that I'm good in technical. And then slowly, I just, and I saw the opportunity, first opportunity to go to metro from a small city. I was in Nagpur. From there, go to Chennai to Bangalore was the dream. And once I reach there, then I can see from here, I can go to the globe. So then I started looking those avenues, and I like captive concept. So, I listed in many countries like Turkey, South Korea, UK, US, and other countries. So, that was the driving factor. It's for survival and to see the world. And so that's what exactly happened. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So, sir, we were live in YouTube, so we have a lot of questions from our audience. Ashish, can you please read out some questions?
Certainly will. So, sir, we are getting questions right here. One of the question is, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced while establishing captives in India?
I would say I never faced any challenges. Maybe my attitude. I like working 24/7. People used to tell me this guy never sleeps, he lives on airport and whatnot. But trust me, it goes with the old saying, आपको कुछ अच्छा लगता है तो पता नहीं चलता है, टाइम कट जाता है. लेकिन अगर आपको वो अच्छा नहीं लगता तो बहुत बोर मारता है और मजा भी नहीं आता है. ठीक है. So I was with that attitude. I really enjoyed. I didn't see anything as a problem. If anything happened, I used to always think, what is the workaround, how to fix it, and then celebrate it once you fix it. But in case, if you see the challenges, or one thing which I feel is, as an employee, you need to be loyal to your companies. Okay, you need to understand the company objective. So if you join any company, what is the value of that company? What is the culture of that company? You must align yourself. If you don't do that, then you're not doing justice with your job, with your company, and definitely you're not putting 100 to 100% over there. So if you really want to, that's a challenge which I felt. But again, as I said, this is not a challenge because I know the Indian work culture. It's a big country. Convincing everyone. There is so much of regionalism here. There is so much of politics here. There is even the racism is here. Casteism is here. There are so much type of isms in our country, which is a country problem, which is a country culture. You can say even, right? So that could be the biggest hurdle for Indians to not mark the impact which they can. So apart from this, I don't see any problem. Yeah.
Sir, is politics is also a hurdle? Like the politics and the laws we are here in our country?
No, for setting up captives, these are not the hurdles. So if you see, actually politics helps. If the politician understands that the power of India, the IT power, especially these days, then it helps. And that's why the Bangalore and Hyderabad, you see, because of the politician, right? You have the presence over here. So politics helps. But yes, in case, let's say, there is something planned in Jaipur and one politician is supporting, but then the government changed from red party to blue party. Now the blue party came and they are not supporting that idea. That's where the politics fails.
So other questions, Ashish?
The next question that we are having is, what advice would you give to young professionals looking to enter the IT and BPO sectors?
Young professional to enter into IT and BPO sectors.
Right, sir.
Okay, so I'm assuming that everybody over here is mostly engineers from RIVA, or we have a mixed population here.
We all are from engineering.
Mostly from RIVA, sir.
From engineering college, right?
Only from RIVA, to be precise.
Okay. So see, if you're all engineers, then definitely don't go for a BPO, because BPO is a low-end job. Let me put that way. Okay, that's not meant for people coming out of engineering college. You guys are all engineers, whether you're a mechanical, chemical, civil, doesn't matter. Okay, ultimately, you are cream of the nation. Your IQ is much better than others. Your education is much better than others in terms of professional education, right? So make use of it. Get into IT, not in BPO, and definitely keep looking for in your LinkedIn profile, just follow the the captives in India, NASSCOM, and captive related, groups and stuff like that. And one good thing which I can think about captive is if somebody really want to see the world, and there is a possibility always. Why? Because when you join a captive, let's say you are a high performer and you are completely aligned with the company. Now the company is not an Indian company; it's always some foreign $100 billion plus company. So if they really like you, and tomorrow if something changes, right? Let's say something changes, some new rule comes saying that no, you cannot open office in India, close this office. Okay, take an example. Worst case, what will that company do? They are doing a business in US, right? They'll find a way to pick you up and dump into US, right? So if those kind of objectives, plus definitely HR policies, processes are much better than the local companies, I would say. So yeah.
So the next question is
just sorry, I was interrupted. I mean, what I was trying to say is that after this lecture, you will know what GIC is, GCCs is. Try to tag those things in your whatever profile so that you keep getting some information and follow these companies. Yeah. There was no computer branch those days. There were only 4 branch: mechanical, civil, electrical, and electronics. There was no computer science or information technology branch. So the world needed the workforce, and I saw this is gaining ground, and I just moved into IT. As I said, I used to like coding, and I was very good in coding. So I said, okay, and people liked it, so I just moved in. Yeah.
all right, so for the next question, I would like to go Sakshi. Yes, sir.
Sakshi has some technical issue. Yeah, Sakshi has some technical issue. You continue, Ashish.
All right, let me read it for you. What motivates you to keep pushing boundaries and exploring new ventures?
I think genetic. I don't know. You are asking, the question of centuries. I don't know. I don't know really. I mean, I just like doing things. Maybe these companies were good, and the way they took care of me, my family, my salaries, my issues. I just loved them. So whether I worked for a Tesco, whether I worked for SuperValue, whether I worked for a this Carelon, Legado, I always felt I'm a part of this company. They are taking care of me, so I'm gonna take care of them. That's it. So yeah.
Sir, I guess now we are towards the end of this session. I would like to call Sehnabaz for vote of thank.
Good evening, everyone. On the behalf of 𝒉𝒂𝒑𝒑𝒂𝒑 Engineering College, I would like to thank our chief guest, Mr. Alok Gupta, sir, for gracing us with their presence today and sharing his valuable insights in behalf of Hirak Jayanti Talk Series. Thank you, sir. Your guidance has been invaluable. It has provided our students with a deeper understanding of captives in India. And I would also like to thank to other guests for joining the session. And lastly, I would like to thank our wonderful audience. Thank you so much.
Thank
Yes,
you,
sir. Thank you
Shanawaz.
so much for your time. It was really a great session, sir. And we would love to hear more sessions from you. And yes, it was really an informative session for all of us. So thank you so much sir, for joining us.
I would like to request everyone please on their camera so we can have a snapshot of this session.
Please
Thank you
do
so much.
acknowledge when snapshot is done.
Okay, sir. Thank you so
Okay.
much, sir. This was such a wonderful session, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, team, and best wishes for the Hirak Jayanti. I will see if I will be able to make up to come all the way to Riva. If not, then definitely my best wishes. Yeah. Bye.
Thank you so much, sir.